Good evening, all my little lions, lionesses, pretty cubs, and sissies. All like. Let's turn you down a little bit. There we go. Better keep me in camera. It's more fun when you can see me and enjoy the little bit of pretty you get to see at these angles. I'm still feeling a little feathery tonight, so that's what you get to have. Feathers. But it's a game thoughts night. And tonight is a rather old one for the Nintendo. Faxanadu. Or Faxanadu. Faxanadu, I suppose. I'm not sure how you're officially supposed to say it, but we'll deal with that. Alright, well, this is not my original copy. This is one I got later on, because I sold one of my Nintendo games when I was young because I was dumb. But I bought this one not too long ago, used, and it works fine. So, yay to that. This will be a side-scrolling adventure game. And it's pretty early, and you can tell, probably around the age that Simon's Quest was out. A lot of doors and merchants and people you have to talk to do things, and a lot of bits that are rather cryptic that you have to, well, figure out what you have to do. They don't just hold your paw throughout the whole thing. There are a few points where you can advance yourself a little bit, more than you probably should in the game. At least once early on in the game, if you sat and grinded for money, you could get the next to the biggest shield and the next to the biggest magic spell, all for just sitting there and killing bad guys and getting some coin to finance yourself. Now, do or don't, that's up to you, but I usually did because, well, hey, better defenses and better offenses, always a bonus. So, but the game didn't always tell you exactly where you needed to go or how you needed to do things. It gave you a lot of options different times with different doors and different keys and different things. But once you figure out where you need to go in any given section, you get whatever the prize is and the ability to move onward. There were like 4 different weapons, 4 different swords, 4 different types of shields, 4 different, I remember 5 magic spells total, and you could switch between whatever you had at any given time. You didn't lose when you got a newer one, which was good because if you went and got that high level magic spell right away, you weren't stuck wasting your spell points on that big spell. You could switch back to the older spell, the easier one that didn't waste all your shot. But the bigger spell is definitely more useful when you're fighting bigger bad guys because, well, more kaboom for your buck. And a lot of the bigger bad guys took a lot of hits. Some of the time the game didn't let you know you were doing good, which made it a little more challenging knowing if is what I'm doing actually attacking this person, this monster, right? Because is it actually even hurting it? I don't know. There's a lot of weird alien-y looking monsters that you had to kill. The whole point is the life tree in this world is dying and you're going to save it by killing off monsters. And you start off at the ground, at the roots, move up the trunk, up to the branches, and finally up into the top branch areas. Now, the first few areas are rather bright colored and inviting. The next area is very smoky and kind of misty and spooky looking. And then you end up in more bright areas to finish the game off. I'll admit, as a kid, it didn't take me long to figure out the first two areas and get into the spooky kind of misty zone. And that's where I was stuck for the longest time because the game definitely gives you a lot of, so what do I do? Where do I go? And there are a lot of bad guys, so you're busy fighting bad guys and trying to figure out what's going on. A lot of places where you can't tell where is and isn't ground because of all the mist and stuff covering things up. And a lot of weird platforming stuff that you may or may not be able to do, and if you mess up, you're forced to go backwards and redo a lot of stuff, and it can become a bit of a challenge. The third area, the area after that, was a lot easier in all respects. It was easier to know where you're going. It's easier to see the ground. I'm not saying it just held your hand all the way through, but once I got there, I was like, wow, everything just makes all the sense. There's only so many choices. I went down there. All right, there's nothing down there. Go back up. Go over here. Oh, there's a place to go. I can go. Huzzah. But you did get better as you went along. Got better equipment. Your character got stronger. And eventually you get the final armor and weapons and whatnot, which you can't just put on. You have to have all three of the final weapon pieces to be able to put on the final sword, shield, which in this case the shield becomes a helmet, and armor. You're still able to select whichever spell you want to use at any given time, but you are at that point then stuck with the final armor on at all times, which isn't bad and all, but I mean, it's like, I kind of like the idea that you could switch between things. That was one of the few things I didn't like, is when you put it on, you're stuck with it on. You're stuck in permanent final form. Once you understood how most of the bad guys worked and how to hit them, they were a lot more fair. There are a few times in the beginning of the game that's really unfair because you have a dagger. You can't attack things that are low on the ground. There are a lot of bad guys that are low on the ground. You have to waste your magic points and use your magic spell to shoot the bad guys low on the ground. Once you get your first long sword, which is not too far into the game, you can finally, use your sword to hit things on the ground. But I was not a big fan of that either. You have a very limited inventory space, which includes all your consumable, like your keys and potions and things. So if you want to have enough keys to be able to open things, you have to limit yourself to how many potions you're carrying or how many other good stuff to help you along your way, like winged boots. And you can't pick up random things if you're full on items. You'll have to either drop an item or use an item, like a health potion, or drop a key just to go potentially pick up something that is useless. Like, oh, it's a key that I have no need for, but I just wasted time picking it up. Bunky. Now, I really enjoyed this game, and I still enjoy it. I will happily play it again off and on because it does entertain me. Controls are decent compared to a lot of games, even up to now. It takes a little getting used to being NES type controls, but if you're familiar with any side scrollers from the NES, you'd probably be pretty comfortable. More Castlevania than slippery Super Mario Brothers 2, mind you. I'd say about Castlevania, maybe Metroid style jumping and walking stuff. A little bit less good, not bad, just not quite as tasty as a Super Metroid, but way more stick to it than the Super Mario Brothers 2. Um, there's a lot of game to explore, a lot of extra doors to go into, a lot of townspeople to talk to and learn about the game, and hear the lore as you're going through. It did not have save states, but it did have codes, which you found by going to a priest, which also gave you a immediate death state. So if you did die, you'd come right back to where that priest was. And if you put in the code, it would put you right at that priest with whatever equipment you currently had. So not bad. Especially for a game back whenever save states weren't a thing. This one actually had a pretty secure way. It did work fairly well. And you can constantly keep up back saves that way if you kept writing down your mantra. Like, oh no, I shouldn't have wasted all that time on that. I spent all that money on this spell. I thought it was dumb. Go back, put the mantra in. You're back to where you were just before you waste all that money. But yeah, it's got a good game to it. It's got a lot of fun to it as well. I can definitely recommend it if you can find a copy of it. I don't remember if it was on the mini NES or not, but it's definitely one that I would say is really fun. You can find it at a lot of the retro game stores for not a lot of money. It's actually a pretty cheap one still. And yeah, a lot of good sword play, a lot of good slashy slash with the sword. A lot of neat bad guys. I have plenty of walkthroughs online if you need help finding out which door to go to in the Misty area, because yeah, you're gonna grind for keys, open doors, figure out they're not where you need to be, and then go, Fergal Nobles. Spend all that money on the key, open the door, and I didn't get anything good out of it. But hey, that's what made games like this worth actually playing. And I'd say definitely something worthwhile having back then and still worthwhile having now. So, I definitely want to thank all my little cubs and kittens for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. This was another one of those games that I loved as a kid, and I want to share my thoughts on it for everybody now. I hope you're all enjoying my feeling of feathery fluffiness tonight, because, well, I'm enjoying it, and, well, I like to make sure you're enjoying yourselves too, because who doesn't need that in their day? So I'd like to thank all my cubs and kits again. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and sharing this with your friends. The more people you share this with, the more people will see it by accident, and the more people will get to enjoy it and have fun. And I want to make everybody happy and let them see hear my stories and see what I have to show off. And if you're so inclined, the Patreon link is in the description. Every bit I get from that is meant to help support this channel and make things better for you, my viewers. And that way we have more fun together. Don't you just want to have fun together? I know you do. So I love all of my little sissies out there, all my little fluff butts, and I will see you again probably very soon. Mwah.